History is often said to repeat itself, but sometimes history doesn't just repeat, it returns from the very place it began in a way no one expects. Today, a powerful and unprecedented wave of protest is rising in India's northeast, aimed directly at Bangladesh. What makes this moment extraordinary is geography itself. The protests are erupting from the same region that once served as the launchpad for the birth of Bangladesh in 1971. From Assam, Tripura, and Manipur to North Bengal, people are pouring into the streets. And this is not a movement driven by one religion or one ideology. Hindu organizations are present, yes, but so are tribal communities, Christian groups, and even Muslim organizations, all united by a single concern: illegal infiltration, demographic change, and national security. This unity alone signals something deeper. This is no longer a religious issue. This is a civilizational and strategic alarm bell, and it raises a question that would have sounded unthinkable just a few years ago. Is this just public anger, or the early tremor of a geopolitical reset? Ground Zero, Assam's Barak Valley. To understand what is happening, we must begin in southern Assam, in a region called Barak Valley. On December 21st, images emerged from this region showing mass protests, burning effigies, and crowds openly defying the political status quo. What makes Barak Valley unique is its demographic reality. It is a Bengali-speaking region, long considered culturally and linguistically close to Bangladesh. For decades, this area was assumed to be sympathetic to Dhaka. That assumption has now collapsed. The very people once believed to be pro-Bangladesh are now among the angriest voices because they say they have watched their lands, forests, and livelihoods taken over by illegal migrants. Local members of parliament and state legislators warn that within just 5 years, parts of Barak Valley have seen dangerous demographic shifts. Indigenous residents are becoming minorities in their own districts. This fear is not abstract. For people living barely a few kilometers from the border, it is daily reality. The Siliguri Corridor, India's strategic jugular vein. On the same day, massive protests erupted in Siliguri, led by the Bangya Hindu Mahamanch. Their demand was blunt. The Indian government and armed forces must take decisive action against Bangladesh. To an American audience, the importance of Siliguri must be understood clearly. The Siliguri Corridor, often called the Chicken's Neck, is a narrow strip of land, less than 25 miles wide at its narrowest point, that connects India's northeastern 7 states to the rest of the country. If this corridor is disrupted or cut, over 45 million Indian citizens would be isolated, India's eastern defenses would be crippled, China and Pakistan would gain unprecedented leverage. Indian intelligence agencies have repeatedly warned that Bangladesh's intelligence service, DGFI, views this corridor as India's weakest strategic point. That is why unrest in Siliguri sends shockwaves far beyond West Bengal. Tripura, the border state on the edge. The foundation of this movement was laid earlier, on December 19th, in the state of Tripura. Tripura is uniquely vulnerable. 85% of its border touches Bangladesh. Its indigenous tribal population has already become a minority due to past migration. In New Delhi, the Tipra Mota Party and the Youth Tipra Federation staged a protest directly outside the Bangladesh High Commission. Their allegations are severe. Rohingya migrants and illegal settlers occupying forest land, fake Aadhaar cards and voter IDs being generated. Entire tribal belts slowly disappearing. Police records show that over 500 fake identity documents were seized in just 3 years. Officials admit the real number may be far higher. For local communities, this is not ideology, it is survival. A border that never sleeps. Residents of Silchar, Barak Valley, and Tripura describe a chilling reality. They claim that gunfire is often heard at night. Skirmishes between India's Border Security Force, BSF, and Bangladesh's BGB are frequent. Smuggling and human trafficking networks operate with impunity. What was once seen as a porous border problem is now viewed as a hybrid security threat. And the unrest is no longer regional. Protests and discussions have reached New Delhi, Varanasi, Kashi, India's spiritual heart. Religious leaders in Varanasi have publicly questioned the moral cost of 1971. India created Bangladesh to save Hindus. Today, those Hindus are being erased. Was our sacrifice meaningless? Social media and the map correction debate. As protests grow on the ground, social media has exploded with a term that was once taboo: Operation Map Correction. Maps are circulating online showing redrawn borders, expanded Indian control over strategic Bangladeshi regions, a widened Siliguri Corridor. This is not just internet fantasy. Several retired Indian military officers and strategic thinkers have openly written about these possibilities. Retired Major General G.D. Bakshi argued that if Bangladesh fully aligns with China and Pakistan, India must rethink its strategic restraint. He proposed that Rangpur division could be separated to expand the Siliguri corridor to 150 kilometers, permanently neutralizing India's greatest vulnerability. Even more strikingly, Bangladeshi intellectuals themselves have warned of internal fragmentation if religious extremism continues unchecked. Former Bangladeshi diplomat Humayun Kabir once stated that regions like Chittagong and Sylhet have distinct historical identities and were never naturally integrated into Bengal. The China factor and the Bay of Bengal India's concerns are not limited to land. Former Indian Navy Chief Admiral Arun Prakash warned that if Bangladesh grants China expanded access to Chittagong port, India would be forced to take hard naval measures to maintain dominance in the Bay of Bengal. For the US audience, this matters because the Bay of Bengal is a critical Indo-Pacific corridor. Chinese naval expansion here directly affects global shipping lanes. India is a central pillar of the Quad security framework, a troubling turn. Inside Bangladesh reports since August 2024, following the removal of Sheikh Hasina, paint a grim picture. Over 2,000 Hindu homes burned, more than 200 temples destroyed, Hindu priest Chinmoy Krishnadas arrested for demanding minority rights. These incidents have alarmed not just India, but increasingly Western governments. The United States, once supportive of the interim Yunus government, has now raised serious concerns about minority safety and radicalization. From protest to policy, what are the demands? Protesters across Assam, Tripura, and Bengal have articulated two primary demands: international legal action, cases against perpetrators of violence in Bangladesh at the International Criminal Court, concrete diplomatic and security measures, not just statements. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar has publicly acknowledged that the situation is deeply concerning. Another critical issue raised: India's 4,096-kilometer border with Bangladesh. Only 80 to 82% is fenced, 700 to 800 kilometers remain open, enabling daily infiltration. BSF data shows over 1,200 illegal crossings detected in 2023 alone. The military dimension, quiet but serious. Behind the scenes, something far more significant has occurred. For the first time since 1971, the army chiefs of India and Bangladesh have spoken directly. The Bangladeshi army chief personally called India's Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi, an extraordinary step that bypassed diplomatic channels. Why? Because Bangladesh's military is deeply worried. The Yunus government is weak. Radical Islamist groups are gaining strength. They do not want confrontation with India. A direct military hotline has reportedly been activated, again for the first time since 1971. India, meanwhile, has sent a clear signal. 17 Mountain Strike Corps positioned near the border, artillery, armor, attack helicopters deployed, Rafale fighters moved to Eastern Command Indian Navy, increased patrols in the Bay of Bengal. A former Bangladeshi military officer anonymously admitted, "A conflict with India would be suicidal for us." The 1971 parallel. And the new question. In 1971, India had no nuclear weapons, no Rafale jets, no BrahMos missiles, no S-400 air defense, yet India forced the surrender of 93,000 Pakistani soldiers in just 13 days, the largest surrender since World War II. Today, India is a $3.7 trillion economy, a G20 and BRICS power, a nuclear-armed state with advanced aerospace and naval capability. So the real question is not what India can do. The question is, how far is India willing to go, if pushed?